Hello everybody, how are you doing? Back again. Only been a week this time, so we're doing well. Getting back into a little routine. Yeah, how you doing? So I've had an unusually productive day today. I've got a lot of random stuff done, so I figure I'll go out on a high note before bed. And oh, my cat's about to go crazy, I think. Oh, and one of them's just gone to the toilet. That's lovely. Oh my word, that stinks. Anyway. Oh, I can taste it. It's so bad. Oh my god. Anyway, back to the point. What a brilliant start to a video. Anyway, where was I? That was rather off-putting. Where was I? Yeah, I've had quite a productive day today. I've done a bit of work in the garden. I've repotted some plants. I've started growing some vegetables in the back garden. And I've done a bit of tidying and sorted the animals out and stuff like that. So I thought I'd go out on a good note and make a little video before bed. Just to try and slowly get back into a routine again. So yeah, I like I mentioned last time, I thought I would just talk a little bit about the nostril piercings this time and how it all went. Obviously it was quite a while ago now that I actually got them done. It was, I forget the exact date, it was just about a week before, maybe 10 days before the wedding. Excuse me. Maybe 10 days before the wedding, something like that. So, middle of February anyway. So what are we in now? We're in, coming up to the end of May, so what, about 3.5 months, is it? If I've worked that out right. I've got something in my mouth now. Doing really well so far, aren't we? And, yeah, so I think it's been about 3.5 months now since they were actually pierced. And, yeah, they're settling down really well. So they're still not fully healed yet, and probably another 3 months, if not a little bit more, before they'll be fully properly healed. And then I'll still leave them another several months after that anyway, before I actually stretch them. I actually begin even thinking about stretching them. So yeah, we both me and Anna went to Bury St Edmunds to where my friend Preston works. I've had piercings done by him before. He did my conchas. He's done a few other random little things on me. He did my bridge back when I actually had that. And yeah, so I always go to him. So I've known him for 15 years, I reckon. Probably even more than that now. So I always like to go to him. He's a very talented piercer as it is, and obviously being a friend, I can talk to him a lot more about exactly what my plans are and what I plan on doing, and sort of help him figure out what I want a lot better. I feel a lot more comfortable talking to someone I actually know rather than someone I don't know. So it's really handy being able to go and see him and actually talk to him about. Plus he knows what I want eventually anyway. He knows the path I'm heading down anyway. So we were able to work together, and I trust his decisions as well. So that really helps. If you can go to a piercer that you know their work, you know their process, and you trust them and trust their judgment, it really helps a lot. So it's well worth trying to get some sort of, not necessarily a friendship going, but a relationship of some sort with your piercer. It really does help. So yeah, so obviously decided to go to Preston. Me and Anna, we drove down there. We got there midday-ish, just after midday, I think. Something like that. Preston was already with another client at the time, I think. I think he was just finishing up with someone. He was just talking to someone about something. And so yeah, we just chilled out for a bit. And then I went into the studio, what do you call it? The actual studio room itself, I suppose. Anna stayed outside. I don't know why. I was kind of expecting her to come. I would have quite liked her to come just so she could actually record a little video or something of that actually being done. I think that would have been good fun. But for whatever bizarre reason, she just wanted to stay outside that day. So yeah, that's fine. So yeah, we went into the studio. Took a long time trying to mark everything up because my face is very, very wonky as it is. And so and obviously as he knows, I want to stretch them quite large. So he wanted to try to get them as balanced as possible. And that was easier said than done with obviously my nose is a bit different anyway because it's already got a giant hole in the middle to start with. Plus my face is naturally incredibly unsymmetrical. A lot more so than most people. So all in all, it was quite a bit of hard work for him to try and get them as matched and closely placed as possible. because obviously especially when you're working with the nose, you got a big old three-dimensional area where things can be going in any sort of direction, anywhere, even ever so slightly off, and it can be really obvious. So he has done a really good job. They probably look a little bit unbalanced at the moment because, like I said in the last video, I've got a different piece of jewellery in this nostril because I actually lost one of the other bits. I actually, funny enough, I actually found the cap, whatever you call it, the end of the other piece of jewellery. I actually found that upstairs, but by the time I'd found that, I'd actually lost the actual labret stud itself. Where that's gone, I don't know. I have no idea. But I've got the jewellery somewhere, so I will try and actually figure out where the two matching halves are at some point and try and put it back in again. But yeah, obviously we went with the little flat discs. Sorry, one of my cats out jumping the other one, I think. Just to start off right away with almost giving it a bit of an idea of what hello madam, of what they might start to look as I begin to stretch them. Obviously with the flat discs looking a little bit like they're already stretched. So I thought that was quite a cool idea. That was his idea, and I thought that was quite a cool idea. So yeah, we went with that. And obviously now I have this big ball sticking out on this one, which doesn't really help. Just because yeah, that's the only piece of jewellery I happen to have lying around when I lost the other bit. And I got this bit in, and I didn't want to fiddle about with it too much trying to put anything else in. I thought I just wanted to get something in there, just so, first of all, obviously it doesn't close up. And yeah, decided to leave this bit in because it did irritate it. Obviously when I realised the first bit had fallen out, it irritated it just trying to push it back in again. And then, obviously after that, then changing in a second piece, it just irritated it furthermore. And it did develop a little bit of scar tissue around the top, a little bit of hypertrophic scarring around the top from all the unnecessary trauma. But the majority of that has now settled down, and I still expect it to settle down a lot more further. So like I said, it still obviously hasn't fully healed yet anyway. Something's floating around. It obviously still hasn't fully healed yet anyway. What are you doing, Gwen? Should I come over here? You're going to sit there staring at me. No, I don't think she's coming. So yeah, so that was a bit of a pain having to do that. But yeah, the little bit of scar tissue did just develop around the top. I doubt you can see anything in the video, but so that's more or less gone now anyway, which is really nice. It didn't hang around very long at all, but it has obviously put the overall healing backwards a little bit. So that's a little bit frustrating. But as I've mentioned before, I'm not planning on stretching them anytime soon. It's entirely possible I won't even stretch them at all this year. I mean, what are we into now? We're already into, well, we're coming up for June now, I think, aren't we? So we're basically halfway through this year already. By the time this is all settled down fully and healed and all that, chance that it'll be the end of the year before they're even ready to be stretched anyway. And the end of the year for me is quite a busy period anyway. It seems like everybody I'm close to all have their birthdays right in the last couple of months of the year. So yeah, I probably won't be doing a great deal body modification wise in the last few months of this year, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because at the end of the day, the longer these get to really heal and really settle in before I start stretching them, the better. It's just I know myself and I know what I'm like, and I can be a little impatient with piercings because obviously, as anybody who stretches stuff knows, as soon as you start stretching, you just want it bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. So but yeah, I have learned to be a lot more patient than I used to be, so hopefully that'll work in my favour, and I will I'd say most likely I will probably start stretching them, might even be January, February next year, so they will have the best part of a year to really fully settle down and heal. And I do plan on, if I can't find the actual matching pieces of jewellery, I will order another. What I'll probably do is order another pair of jewellery, just so even if whatever isn't exactly the same as this, I'll be able to swap them over and have a matching pair in my nostrils, so that'd be alright. But yeah, I'd say the actual, anyway, kind of gone off on a massive tangent there. As for the actual piercing itself, what are you doing, you crazy girl? I think she's seen something. As far as the actual piercing itself goes, it wasn't super painful. It certainly wasn't pleasant, and it did hurt. It was just, I don't really know how to describe it. It wasn't a very nice feeling, let's put it that way. When, particularly after Preston did the second one, when he pushed the needle through and had to sort of twist it a little bit, try and get the jewellery in, I couldn't open my eye. My eye was just, it just closed in on itself. And my eyes were just streaming with water. So, which I've been told by a few people that's quite a common thing when you get your nostrils pierced. But yeah, I had absolutely no control over trying to keep my eyes open at the time. And I remember he said, yeah, that face pretty much sums up nostril piercings. So, yeah. But yeah, that was funny. Obviously, he's got his own done, and his are stretched, I think, to 8. I want to say 8mm. I think something like that. So yeah, he's well versed in it himself. So yeah, all in all, it was a really fun day. I say after we were done there, me and Anna, I think we went and got something to eat at Wagamama's possibly. I don't quite remember, but we did something like that. But yeah, so like I said, that was about just over a week before the wedding. I think it might have even been a week and a half. It was like a Wednesday or a Thursday or something. We got that done. And then our wedding was the week after on the Saturday? But I should really remember exactly which day it was. But yeah, so we got the reason I chose to do it that particular week, like I thought about maybe waiting until after the wedding, maybe doing it a fair bit before the wedding. But I mean, I know from other people's experiences that they particularly while they're healing, through the initial sort of healing phase, they do tend to, it's nothing unusual for them to scar up quite a bit. And I figured I didn't really want them to be scarred up in all the wedding pictures, all that sort of stuff. So the reason I chose the time period I did specifically was it wouldn't be enough time for them to really scar up massively. I mean, that sort of usually doesn't start for a couple of weeks afterwards, so that wouldn't happen until after the wedding, which is exactly what happened. It was probably a week or so after the wedding. I got some very minor scarring start to appear on both of them, which have since both gone, until this one obviously flared up. But yeah, where was I? I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, so it would be enough time so that it wouldn't be so much time that the scarring would begin to really set in, but at the same time there would be enough of a gap in between the initial piercing and the wedding itself where it wouldn't be bleeding anymore. Any swelling or any bruising that came up as a result of the piercing would have plenty of time to fade and to disappear. And so it all worked out pretty much as perfectly as it could have done. I mean, Preston came to the wedding. He came to the evening part of the wedding. He wasn't there during the ceremony. But yeah, we saw him in the evening, and to be fair, I don't really remember much because by that point I was very, very drunk. Word seemed to get around the wedding that, you crazy cats, they're wrestling with each other. Millie likes to jump on top of Gwen and sort of kick her in the face, and yeah, then Gwen gets a bit grumpy. But yeah, anyway, are you going to leave your big sister alone, if you like? Come here. What are you doing? He's going to sit there and stare at me as well. Oh no, she's run off the other way. She's gone that way. Anyway, so yeah, it's word seemed to get around the wedding that I'm quite partial to a whiskey, and so I think every other person at the wedding bought me a shot of whiskey, and there was a lot of people there. So by the time people started to arrive in the evening, and by the time Preston got there, I was already quite drunk, and I vaguely remember chatting to him and saying hello, but I don't really remember what we talked about. But yeah, so yeah, I do vaguely remember him having a look at them and just seeing how they were healing and how they were settling, and he seemed happy with them, so that's got to be a good thing. So yeah, he says he whenever he does piercing for me, he always says he gets a little bit nervous just because he knows how much, because I'm properly into the scene and relatively knowledgeable about that sort of stuff compared to perhaps some of his customers who aren't necessarily all in on the whole thing. If you know what I mean, like someone who just fancies the odd random piercing there rather than someone who's into the whole full body heavy mod scene. So he always says he's a little bit nervous whenever he has to pierce me because of that. But the way I look at it, in some ways because of the amount of knowledge I have in the industry and in the scene, I'm almost more forgiving in some ways, because I know it's not always 100% possible to get exactly what people want every time. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. So yeah, all in all, it's been, it was really good fun. It was a fun day out. Painful day. It's a shame, man, that I wasn't able to get any videos or pictures of the actual procedure itself or anything. But it all went really well, and it was all really good fun. And they are settling down really well now. And I'm looking forward to them actually. Finally healing fully, so I can actually start a stretching. I'm really quite excited about that, so that's going to be good fun. And hopefully by that point, my septum, I've still got the 22mm tunnel in at the moment. Hopefully by that point I will have it back up to about an inch, and that's where it will stay. I don't want to risk losing any more tissue from around the little bit down the bottom there. You can hear how loose it is. You can hear it sort of making sucky noises. Yeah. Anyway, I think I've been talking for a little while now. I need to be getting to bed because I'm back to work tomorrow. I've actually got a relatively easy day at work tomorrow, which is nice, because like I said in the last video, these last month or so has been ridiculously busy. It's just been so busy, and it's been so hot, it makes everything even harder. But yeah, I'm going to finish off this random alcohol-free beer, whatever this is. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that because I will get it wrong. Yeah, I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce that. I'm going to finish this off, then I'm going to be off to bed. So yeah, sorry for rambling on a little bit there, but I don't know, it was a fun day and I enjoyed reminiscing a little bit about it, I suppose. So yeah, I will speak to you all again soon. I'll probably try and get up another video, probably not during this week, but hopefully next weekend. I will, yeah, I'll have something else to talk about by then, I have no doubt. So ta-ra for now, and yeah, speak to you all soon. And cheers. Yum.